Alright, so back on the 1978 Toyota pickup. Got a couple of more patches in. So this big patch that you saw me cutting out last time, got that one burnt in. Just sort of okay grinding around it. Nothing too detailed. We'll see how much work I do on that after blast. Then I got this one in. I haven't done any grinding on that yet. And so that one's in. And then the center piece actually had two patches that had to get done. So this section here that was rusted out had to get patched. And then on the inside behind here, where it's back behind the dash, there was, some pitting and holes there. So there's, a little patch, maybe like an inch tall and like, 2 or 3 inches wide. That's behind this one that I had to get on the backside. So I painted the backside, which is why you see some of the black around here, before I put this patch on. I took the wiper arms out, so the wipers from here are gone. I took the wipers out and was looking on the inside here to see what things look like. And, there's no paint left from the factory, where I'm pretty sure there was some paint there originally, but it's all gone. That's going to have to get cleaned out, and then I'll need to find some way to get a layer of paint on there. I got a weird hose that I put inside of rockers in order to put rust protection on the inside of rockers before. Not sure if that's the right thing to use to get inside of where the wiper arms are at. And then I was looking at where these vents end up going, and behind here there's a little port, and that's where fresh air gets pulled in from that goes into the heater core. And so these vents, while they allow a bunch of moisture in here, they let a bunch of leaves in. They're the reason why all that's beat up on the inside there is because it's exposed to the elements. There does need to be some kind of fresh air pull somewhere, and so I'll see what I end up doing. I think the vents are cool, they're original, and so if I can just seal the inside, and I'm confident that I can get the inside sealed, then I'll just leave the vents, because like I said, the heater needs to pull in the fresh air. And then on this side, after clearing all this stuff out, I removed the hinges for the hood, and then dug in here and got all the seam sealer and crap out. This panel that was ruined, so it looks like this on this side, right? So this is this there's a chunk of metal that's missing on the passenger side here that I cut out, and it was all rotted. When I hit it with the wire wheel, it got huge. Like there was just like a little piece here, and then after I hit it with the wire wheel, this whole piece of metal was like aluminum foil. It just started falling apart. So I had to cut that out. You see there's a couple of spot welds where it was spotted in, so use the carbide bit on the die grinder in order to knock those out. And then this is pretty well rusted, but this metal's good, and so while it looks pretty bad, the metal's good. The reason why it's a bit glossy is I was trying to use like the Rust-Oleum rust remover in order to get back in this corner. And so what I think happened, the reason why this got bad, is if we look over on this side, you can just see the bead roll right here. That bead roll let moisture get in behind, and then it just sort of zigzags, and then it would have just got stuck in the valley. And so, from whatever, even though it's up underneath this ledge and behind the hinge and the hoods here and all that stuff, it isn't going to take much moisture to get down there. And since it'll be trapped at the bottom of that bead, then that's the reason why that panel rusted out. I don't know why the driver's side doesn't have it, but this was terrible. So it must have just been like, rain coming in at an angle or something. I don't know why on this side it got in here and rusted the whole thing out. And so You know, I'm trying to dig out all that seam sealer and all that stuff, and I was hoping that I could just use some brushes and chemicals in order to get them there, but it's just too much. Like, I can't get in there. And what I want to do is I'll end up welding this seam all the way up and not be relying upon seam sealer. And then the panel I'll actually make it go all the way, and then it'll cover up this bead, and it'll come all the way to here, and then I'll weld along this seam, and then that will get covered up, and then I don't have to worry about moisture getting back behind there again. So the new panel will come over and cover this whole section and get weld all along here, weld along the side, so it'll be a lot stronger, and then it'll cover it up, and so I don't have to worry about moisture getting stuck behind there again. But it's all nasty. That Rust-Oleum gloop that I put on there didn't end up doing the job, and then, you know, down in this corner is just impossible. And so I got a crappy little sandblaster, and I'm going to hit it now and see how much cleaned up I can get it. It also gives me a sense for when I actually get to blast, you know, how much the media is able to take over, like some of the rubbery seam sealer. So if it's working okay on this side, I might, like, while I got the thing out, I might come over here and get some of this stuff out. You know, even though this ain't rusted, you know, my sense is, like, you know, this little dot here, my sense is if I hit this with blast, it's going to suck just like the other side does. So we'll see. So I'll get the blaster going. I hate using it because it's messy and horrible. It gets glass crap everywhere, but I don't have another option. So here we go. Alright, so see, that thing sucks, so that's why I don't like using it. Yeah, I mean, I think I got that cleaned up about as much as I can. You know, that fine glass bead got down to something that I don't mind, like now throwing a couple coats of primer and paint on this in order to protect it before I put the panel over the top of it. So that should be okay. I got a little bit of stuff that I'll probably clean up with like a pick or something, but that won't be too bad. On this side, that little spot that I pointed out before, just a little tiny piece right here. So that's really not too bad at all. I hit all this other area, so that bead kind of zigzags like this, and so just this little spot here came through. You know, the spot welds on the top look like those are going to be fine. I'll probably hit this with the wire wheel anyway, just to get a better look at how it's going to look. But this is no big deal. This is the sort of thing that I'm sure after this thing goes to blast, that I'm going to have a whole crap load of this. So just this little like spot weld right here where it's busted through. My guess is when this thing gets back to blast, I'm going to have a ton of that all over the cab, which is not exciting. And then you can see that the media, for the most part on the thicker stuff, it just bounces off of it. And so like where it's super thin, it'll knock it off, but these bigger chunky areas, that's why I got to get all the seam sealer and stuff off of it before I send it to blast, because the media just bounces off of the thicker stuff. It'll put a little divot in it, but it doesn't actually remove it. And these big old globs of stuff and down in that corner, it just doesn't do anything, which is a bummer. So I'll have to go through and definitely dig out all the seam sealer after seeing that. So yeah, so I'll get a little, you know, this, I might not even try to make a patch for this. I might be able to just weld around it and fill in that hole with weld, like I'd done with other stuff. So like, you know, little areas like this where I'd filled in with weld, because they're just like these tiny little holes where there was like a screw or something in. You know, you can just like tack around and fill those in. And so if the metal's not super thin, I might just be able to tack around it and get that filled in, and then this is no problem. This kind of stuff, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to do anything with it right now. I mean, I'm going ahead and get everything blasted. This might even get a lot bigger, so there's no point in me trying to repair that right now. If this is the sort of thing that I'll, it's same thing, like be able to just tack around and clean that up, I don't know. So I'll have to do a bit of thinking before I try to tackle that. So yeah, so I'll get this side painted. While this is drying and everything, I got to make the panel and clean that out and do some other stuff. So a little shorter video today, using definitely one of my least favorite things is the sandblaster. So all right, cool, thanks, see you in the next one.